and we sat down and we talked. We had a conversation, me, him, my wife, and I the way I approached it was like, dude, I made mistakes.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes. We're human. We fall. But that doesn't change how I feel about you. Like, I love you. I just kind of approached it like,
What's up, my friends? Welcome back to the pod. I just want to say shout out to all the proud papis out there. There's only one way to really follow up last week's Mother's Day episode, and that's to invite my friend Lanny back into the pod. This time, he's going to share about his relationship with his kids, raising a teenager, how his girls changed his life. This is going to be a good episode. Go ahead and check it out. Lanny, thank you so much for coming back on.
Yeah.
So we talked about your dad last time.
Yeah.
But we didn't get too much into your family. You're a dad of 4.
Yep.
So tell me the name and ages of your kids.
All right. I got Elijah. He's our oldest. He'll actually be 14 in a couple of weeks.
Wow.
Caleb, he is 11, 6th grade. Elijah actually be going to high school next year.
Yeah.
Then I have Ariella, who's 7.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be 8 this summer. And then Eliana, who is just the boss. She'll be 3 in a couple of weeks as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And so 4 kids. Did you and Veronica always want 4 kids, or did you start off with a plan of more or less? Or
honestly, I feel like I've always wanted a big family.
Yeah.
But we never like, hey, how many kids do you want? And we never played that game.
Yeah.
I always wanted a big family. I think she's a little different. Sometimes I swear, sometimes she says, yeah, I would love a big family, but then I remember her saying, like, I don't know that I, would want a big family. So she's different. I don't know. She's a little hard to read.
Yeah.
But we never really sat down and planned it. No.
Yeah. I mean, 4 kids nowadays, I think would be considered a big family because you don't see many people going for 4 kids.
Yeah.
Like, we have 3. I wouldn't have mind one more, but that's it. We're done. Right. But So I, one of the cool things one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on and talk about your kids is because you have a teenager.
Yeah.
And that's Elijah, and Caleb's 11, so he's heading in that direction.
Yep.
So I kind of wanted to talk about, just that is really, I think Shane Shane has a teenager as well, but we didn't get into kind of raising a teenager. But I'd love for you to speak into just what that's like having a teenager in your home, and especially in days like today where, there's just so much that they can get involved with, good and bad. It just seems like so much. So, kind of share with me like what that has been like these last couple of years to see Elijah become a teenager.
It's pretty cool, but it's also heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Your babies are growing up.
Right.
My wife and I, we constantly find ourselves scrolling back to when they're babies on our phone and watching videos and watching the first steps and all of that. But it's definitely, we're in a new place, I would say, in our relationship. Like I said, I've been, his coach for many years, baseball and football. And so, our relationship is, at times, friendship, but he also knows, there's a line that you don't cross, and, he respects that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a weird place that we're at right now. I'm a brand new father to, a teenager.
Right.
He's only been a teenager for a year, going on 2. And, Caleb, he's now just starting to, I think, change a little bit. His voice is kind of changing, and Elijah's still got voice cracks like crazy.
Yeah.
they're going through that change.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely it's a new space that we're in that I'm still trying to navigate. There's things that are very emotional. They're very emotional. Hormones going crazy, you know. It's funny right now. Elijah's like, I I guess his one prayer right now is he wants a girlfriend. His friends have girlfriends, you know, like that's happening right now.
Right.
And his mom was like, nope, keep your eye on the prize. Keep your eye on the prize, you know, constantly keep your eye on the prize. And she's right. You know, like, and he told me the other day, I want a girlfriend. I said, for what? To do what? Like, tell me. And he couldn't tell me. And I was like, see, that's why you don't need one.
Yeah.
You know? It's definitely, it's fun right now.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on it, and Eli and I talked about it a few weeks ago, like that line of when you are a friend, but also like you're the dad,
right?
And kind of how that works, you know, like I think it's a pretty thin line,
sure.
But like, is there anything that you can share as far as like, I mean, so those boundaries that you set with Elijah, are those boundaries that he's learned because he's crossed them, or because those are boundaries you set before?
Oh no, because he's crossed them.
Okay.
You know, and I make it known like, hey, too far.
Yeah.
Chill out.
Yeah.
You know, it's all in the tone of my voice. You know, I could, you know, have fun, laugh, joke with you. You can tell me about your day.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the boys. That's how my dad was with me.
Right.
He was one of the boys. So, you know, I'm one of your boys. Go ahead. And then the moment you, I don't know, the moment you like, it all depends on the situation.
Right.
You know, but there is a line there, and my tone will immediately change to be like, hey, that's too much. And he'll, sorry.
Yeah.
You know, and then he knows that.
Right.
And he knows to not go there again. But yeah, there's definitely, for me, like I said, my dad, I mean, I joke, I don't joke, but it's funny that when my dad got remarried, all his groomsmen were my friends, my high school friends. So my dad was one of the boys, you know. He let us do whatever we wanted, but, you know, there was a line. If we crossed it, he would let us know.
Yeah.
And he would talk to my friends like they were his kids.
Okay.
You know? And so that's kind of how I am with Elijah right now. Caleb, not so much because he's still kind of little, you know, and his mind's still immature. But with Elijah, like there is a line, and if he goes there, I'll change my tone and be like, let's not. And he's like, okay. And he respects that.
Right, right. So Elijah and Caleb are about 2.5, 3 years?
About 2.5.
Okay. So do you find that Caleb is just kind of in his own bubble, or do you see him kind of picking up some things that maybe Elijah is doing, or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm talking more like behavioral things.
Yeah,
like,
so they are complete opposite.
Yeah.
You know, Caleb they're both very emotional people.
Yeah.
And like when Elijah gets mad, you know it.
Yeah.
Right? And then it takes a lot for Caleb to get mad.
Okay.
You know, and he'll go shut down and go hide and cry. And it takes forever to get it out of him. Like, what's wrong? He's nothing, you know, it takes forever. Gosh, I can't stand it. But, you know, they're opposite in that way, but there is, I do see Caleb, wanting to be like his older brother,
right.
You know, but he's not mature enough yet, you know, he's still young-minded. So a lot of the things that he does gets on Elijah's nerves.
Right.
Elijah's like, stop already, stop, you know. Yeah. But they are best friends, which I love. Yeah. You know, that's one thing that, you know, I think that's like a prayer answered, you know, like best friends, brothers, they're close enough in age. And now, like, when Elijah goes to do something, like, Caleb wants to go. And sometimes Caleb's not invited, and he has to, you know, we have to deal with his little, you know, fits that he throws. That's the immaturity, right? Like, but he just wants to be like his older brother, wants to hang with them. And Elijah's great. He loves his brother and will fight for his brother. And he always checks on him. You know, like, oh, he's upset. Let me go make sure he's okay. Yeah. You know, he has a big heart. They both have big hearts. And, I just love that they're best friends. Yeah. Really.
Yeah. So when when it comes to them, like, because like you said, like they're complete opposite and a bunch of different things, like kind of talk about your relationship with both of them. You know, like, is it really different just because they're into different things, or is it more because Caleb's younger that you kind of have to like change your approach a little bit with him? Like,
no, so it's definitely Elijah's athletic. He loves to play sports, loves to run around, loves to do, sports. Play football, stuff like that. That's me. Elijah's like, that's me as a kid. Caleb is more artsy, more of a brain.
Yeah.
He's always like, he loved trains. He loves puzzles. He loves math. I don't do math, you know?
Yeah.
But he's very smart.
Yeah.
And I found that, you know, they're loved differently.
Yeah.
You know, I can't love Caleb the same way I love Elijah, and, you know, I can't take him to, you know, the football game and you know, talk sports because he won't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'll take him, but like me and Elijah Elijah today was like, hey, who do you think the Raiders are going to get in the draft? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't even thought about it.
Yeah.
Caleb would be like, what draft?
Yeah.
You know, like they're complete opposites.
Yeah.
So honestly, I kind of just have to change, you know. I got to love Elijah a different way. And then my whole approach with Caleb is, you know, I got to be better at. I got to be better because a lot of things he likes, I never, you know, thought of. I never thought to like them, you know. But my son likes it, so now I got to adapt to that. And, you know, I need to connect with him just as much as I connect with Elijah with sports and football and everything. I got to get on his level. You know, honestly, like I can't make him love football. I can't make him love baseball or stuff like that. I just I can't do that, and I can't have him think that that's what I want him to do either, because then he's going to try and do something just so he gets my attention, and that's not the case at all. It's like, dude, if you want to play with trains, just play with trains, you know. But yeah, I definitely got to get better at that, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because the sports part is just natural to you because that's what you did.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, I feel you on that for sure. For us, like, I mean, Abel definitely likes to be outside and run stuff, but Abel's definitely a lot more like creative, artistic, and that stuff. Yeah, that's not who I was. You know, it's easier for me to get with Mateo because Mateo loves wrestling. He loves baseball. He loves. So it's like, all right, cool. Even though I can't like break down a game with him because he's still little, but he enjoys watching it. Where Abel's like not as interested, you know. So I agree with like having to get better there.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned before, with everything that, you know, a teenager can get involved with, good and bad today, like phones, devices, even just conversations with friends, like what has that been like for you to like navigate some of those harder discussions with him, you know, when it comes to like sex or just some of the other crazy stuff? Like how have you managed to kind of handle all that?
So my wife and I have been very open about sex in our household. Like they don't participate in sex ed at school. We pull them out because what they teach in school isn't safe. Yeah, you know, it's just not safe. So
my assumption is that they're just teaching wear protection.
Yeah,
pretty much
exactly, protection. Okay. You know, diseases or whatever. Like, but we've been very open about sex and what that looks like in a marriage. And that's why we always say, keep your eye on the prize. Right. But yeah, we've always talked about it. And so it's kind of like, it's gotten to the point where like, we'll get in a little argument, not even an argument. We're just kind of back and forth. Like, no, you go do it. No, you go do it. And then Elijah will be like, why don't you guys go have sex now? Like, and I'm like, we look at each other like, what? Coming out of left field. Kidding? Yeah. It's like, dude, chill out. All right. Yeah. Line crossed. Line crossed. You know,
there's a boundary.
Yeah. And Yeah, so we keep it in house, and we try and talk about what sex is like in a healthy marriage, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, things are like, again, their hormones are racing,
Right.
and all of his friends have girlfriends. They get curious. We've had actually recently during Freedom Week. Of course, during Freedom Week, we had a situation where he was doing something he wasn't supposed to be. He tried to hide it, and we found it. And rather than get in his face and how dare you, I was like, dude, come talk to me. Let's talk. And we sat down and we talked. We had a conversation, me, him, my wife. And I the way I approached it was like, dude, I've made mistakes. Yeah. We all make mistakes. We're human. We fall. But that doesn't change how I feel about you. Like, I love you. I just kind of approached it like, you made a mistake. And he thought I was going to be like, go get the belt, Yeah. And I'm like, no, dude, you made a mistake. I still love you. Let's work through this.
Right.
Let's talk it out. Let's figure it out. What's going on? And he opened up, and he was talking about how his friends, are, I guess, vaping now or something like that. And I'm like, oh gosh, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing we got to worry about now.
Yeah.
But the fact, it's real. Like, that stuff's happening in middle schools, probably even elementary schools.
Jeez.
And like, oh man. So that's just a whole nother thing that we're like praying against, not today,
Yeah.
But I think this has happened before. And actually the first time this has happened, he came to me and was like, Dad, I got to tell you something, which I loved. I absolutely blew me away that he was like, I got to talk to you. And I was like, let's talk. What's going on? And he told me what he was going through. And I was like, oh my goodness. Okay. And then the same thing. I was like, I love you, man. Thank you for talking to me. Like, you can trust me. We're going to pray together. We're going to battle together. You're going to get the help. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then somewhere along the line, I kind of like, I see it in a way as I failed a little bit. I never checked back in.
Yeah.
Which I probably should have. And because this was a year ago or so. And I didn't check back in. And then here it comes up again. And he's feeling like, he's this terrible person. He's feeling like God don't love him. Like, there's this whole thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
yeah, I
had no idea. Only if I would have checked with him. Only if I would have. And then I started feeling like, oh man, I failed. I dropped the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's just this whole age that he's going into high school now. It's only going to get worse, with the things that he sees and he's around. So we just, so I kind of look at it like this, like with the church, there's things that I say no to now, or I have been since then. I was asked to lead groups, and no, not right now. It's one of those, like, leave the 99 for the one situations. Like, my kids are the one right now.
Yeah.
And I need to be at the house, and I need to invest in them, because, man, at the end of the day, like, we're going to go out and try and save the world but lose our kids. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So, no, to a lot of the things, other than I'm on the worship team. And this was after Freedom too, because I was like, once Freedom's done, I'm going to pull back, because I need to get in a room with them. And that's why we started doing small groups together, just me and the boys now, because they're getting at that age. Yeah. I started the foundations curriculum with them.
Right. Yeah, I saw that. That's really cool.
I started foundations with them, and that's on the calendar every Saturday morning at 8 just me and them. We're going to go to the coffee shop, grab some coffee, a little breakfast, and we're going to get in the Word together. And that's where we're at right now. This season, it's like, I can't send you to high school for Elijah. I can't send him to high school without trying my best to, be that spiritual leader he needs.
For sure.
Be the man of the house and the leader, and really shepherd the kids. So right now I kind of pull back a little bit with the responsibilities at the church, because right now my family needs it. We need it. We need each other. So yeah.
I think that's such a cool, not just when it comes to church, but when it comes to just other things in life, like being able to say no to things so that you could be home more, be present home, more, give yourself more opportunity to be with your kids. Mm-hmm. I also think it's cool that you started the Foundations curriculum with them, take them through scripture, at least start preparing Elijah for high school with knowing some scripture,
Sure.
to protect himself,
What's funny is he probably knows more scripture than me.
Yeah. Well, hey, that Kids Zone, they do a great job in that, and that youth ministry too. They do a great job. So, you have your two older boys. You do have two younger girls that are more in the range of ages that we've been kind of discussing. Talk about your relationship with them a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what is it like night and day? Or
you got tissue around me? Every time I talk about my girls, I want to cry.
Yeah.
I was, what was I doing? I don't remember what I was doing, but I had this vision of them growing and getting married and leaving me.
Yeah.
And my goodness, it broke my heart. And then they didn't even happen. There's 7 and 2. And I'm sitting there why are you leaving me? Oh my gosh. Man, they are what I needed.
Yeah.
They are definitely what I needed. Ariella has been a daddy's girl since birth. To this day, she'll come and wake me up just to cuddle with me in the middle of the night, when I have to get up 2 hours away from work. And I'm like, not right now, but I can't say no because it's my little girl. And then it's funny with Eliana though, she's from 12 to 6:00 p.m. She loves me, but once it's bedtime, all mom. No, I'll be like, give me a hug. No. Oh my gosh, she's so funny.
Yeah.
But no, my little girls, they are definitely my world. And man, they're special, very special to me.
Yeah. When you say that they are exactly what you needed, what do you mean by that?
Well, so every man is the man's man, right? So I had the boys first.
Yeah. Rough,
tough, and wrestling.
Yeah.
And they brought that tender side out of me, that it's so the emotional side of me, because I'm one of those men that try and be stoic and hold it in, and I'm not gonna cry.
Yeah.
Even though I do.
Yeah.
I try not to,
right.
But it just comes, But they're the ones that are they brought that gentleness to my life. That's it's okay. It's okay. And it almost grounded me, complete opposites, right? I can't wrestle around with them. I'll hurt them. And I don't want to hurt them.
Right.
I don't want to hurt their feelings
right.
or anything like that. So they're definitely what I needed, because
yeah.
Without that, I probably still try and be that guy that's I'm too strong to cry, you know, even though I cry like a baby all the time.
Right.
But people don't need to know that about me.
Yeah. Well, no, I asked that because the same thing for me too. Dalia changed the way I see my kids, all of them. Mm-hmm. The way I look at myself as a dad, the way I interact with my kids. Since she came in the picture, it's just completely melted my heart. To where I'm okay, I can't keep being what I was. I gotta adjust.
Absolutely.
I gotta change. I gotta mature as well as a dad.
You set the standard of what a man should be like in her life.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then changes the picture completely. Where you go from I'm my son's I'm my son's protector, but I'm also teaching him how to be tough.
Right.
To now you have a daughter, so it's like, oh, now I can't. I mean, I could teach her how to be tough, but what's really going to impact her is just to show her, hey, this is the type of man you want. I got to show that it's got to be like me.
Right.
I got to set that standard. So
yeah, it's you. I mean, it's with you and Ruthie, right? It's like how you treat her is how the boys will see how to treat a woman.
Exactly.
And how you treat her is how she's gonna see. Okay, I need to be treated like that as well.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's so hard. It really is. Like, there's so much to like think about.
Isn't it?
Like you're thinking about your boys and thinking about the girl. Then you got to think about your wife, because that's also a big part of it too, right? Like,
oh, it's the biggest part of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's like trying to like almost like, got to make sure I'm doing all these things good. So yeah, man. Like you have the girls. You have your two princesses. You have your two boys. Like. So, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit now already, but like from being the young dad to now being the dad you are today, like what are some things that you're like, oh, I changed this. This isn't the same as it was before.
I think before I was a little more lenient when it comes to how they act, things they say, because I wouldn't say like I had a worldly vision of what it was to be like, but there was definitely like influence from the world or out in the world that was like, it's okay to for them to act a certain way, or it's going to be okay. But now, like, I think I'm trying to like bring it back to a little more biblical and raise them up that way, because. Yeah, man, I think I was a little too lenient sometimes on what I would let happen, or what someone would say, and I'd be like, oh, it's fine or whatever. But I don't know, man. I just feel like it's time. It's time to grow up a little bit, and me especially grow up and mature. That like, hey, man, we're not just Christians on Sunday. That's another thing. My boys, like or at least my oldest, I felt like he thought we were in some sort of club, and it was something that we do.
Yeah.
And I need to bring it back to, no, this is who we are. Right. This is what we do. Yeah. We get to do this. Like the church isn't the four walls in a building. Like we are the church. And I think now I'm like, I mean, better late than never, but I think now I'm trying to bring it back to that, which is why I started Foundations, because it's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Build up that foundation that's going to last generations, which is something I was sharing with them this past weekend in our lesson, that it was, I don't know, 10 years ago or so that I learned my great-grandfather was a preacher, Christian. So I'm the fourth generation of a Christian, and my kids are now the fifth. And I was telling them like what my grandfather did then, my great grandfather did then, the prayers he prayed then. I could be a product of those prayers.
Yeah,
you could be a product of those prayers.
Right.
And it's the foundation that was laid in the 1900s, like 1910 or whatever, however long ago it was. 100 years ago, 100 plus. And I just want to continue that, build off of that. Right. So Foundations is it's a great place to start. And it actually was kind of cool that I can tie that in the lesson a little bit. But yeah, man, this world is, especially lately, like my eyes have been open to a lot of, especially, I don't know if it's because a lot of it's happening to my kids now. They're getting older and maturing, and they're seeing more of the world. And the more they see, the more I'm realizing this world is just, it's wicked, man. Yeah. It's unfortunate that, they got to grow and raise their families in this, but it is what it is. And we just got to continue to, hope that foundation is solid enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think anytime, we do something like that where we're building foundation. I mean, it's like you said, right? It's almost like we are, you're laying the foundations with your kids, but like that foundation was laid generations ago. Mm-hmm. And really what you're doing is you're just continuing that path, And I think that anytime that we do something like that, where we're working off of our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents, and what they've prayed, what they've worked for, like I feel like it's always going to be a good thing. Same thing in our family. Like, we're fourth generation as well, and our kids are fifth, and so, it's like, man, we just want to keep it going,
right.
Because I think there's no doubt that raising a family in the ways of the Lord and using the Bible and believing in Jesus, like there is no better way to raise your kids,
right.
We haven't really talked about that a whole lot on this podcast. We've just been more like practical, but I think without a doubt, like and you and I can sit here and say, yeah, it's true that there's no better way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think all the things that, even if you were to take aside some of the spiritual aspects and you just looked at just the practical things, mm-hmm. like the Bible is full of like just good, right things,
right,
to like teach your kids, and like healthy living and how to be successful. But then you add like all the spiritual, you add Jesus and what he did on the cross, and it's like, how could you not want to raise your kids in this,
Right.
But man, I think, I've said this to you before in person. Ruthie and I've said it to you in V in person. Like, we really admire you guys for all the work that you guys do. Like, and I'm not even just talking about in the church, but like just at home. We really do. We look up to you guys, and one of those like, oh, when we grow up, we want to be like Lanny and V. Like that's the way we look at you guys. It's like you guys really are set a great example of how to. You set a great example of how to love your family and lead your family well, how to love your wife, how to love your kids. And, I'm glad that people were able to kind of hear your story, hear some things that you're experiencing now. And I just think that you have, such a humble spirit, even though people may be intimidated by you when they see you. You're really like humble and just a big like teddy bear. And so, man, like, so if you can, before we head out, just what is something that you can share with a young dad, a dad that has like a kid that's 2 or under, like give them something like advice for them right now?
I would say be patient. Be patient. This is a long journey, and hold on for the ride and enjoy the ride, and don't ever stop showing up. Don't ever stop showing up for the small things. Don't stop showing up for the big things. Man, be present. Just be present. It's okay to put down your phone every once in a while. It's okay to turn off the TV and play some board games at the table. Be present and show up for your children. And be patient. Be patient, because this is you signed up for life. So it's a long, long ride.
Thanks, bro.
Appreciate you too, brother.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on this week's episode. I love having that conversation with Lanny. We shared how our daughters really changed our life, changed the way we father. So this one right here goes out to all the girl dads. I want you to go ahead and drop your daughter's name in the comments. Shout them out. Shout out that special girl that has changed your life. And if you love content just like this, you're going to want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we drop new episodes every week, and it's all about fatherhood. I love you guys. Have a great week. Until next time, peace out.